Campaign in the Glasgow East by-election on track after its leading candidate pulled out of the selection process. George Ryan said he was withdrawing due to prevent pressures on his family life. The by-election is being seen as a key test for the Prime Minister, Gordon Brown. Colin Blaine reports.
It's the first weekend of the Glasgow East campaign, and Labour's opponents are off and running. Candidates in place, party machines gearing up. For Labour themselves, a false start. They're canvassing, but without a candidate. Their likely nominee, local councillor George Ryan, failed to show for his selection meeting.
One of our prominent potential candidates decided at the last minute that he didn't want to combine the frontline political role that he might be taking on with his family life. Now, you've got to respect that.
The Scottish National Party are Labour's main rivals here. They're beginning to believe the task of overturning a 13,000 majority is not beyond them.
This would be a shockwave through the political system, but I think a lot of folk here will think that's exactly what the Westminster system needs. It needs a shockwave.
The Scottish Conservatives, opening for business in the constituency, hope to benefit from Labour's problems.
Well, it's difficult to imagine worse disarray or chaos. I mean, they've chosen the date of the by-election. They don't have a leader in Scotland. They don't even seem to have a candidate. We don't know when they're going to get a candidate.
I find it quite astonishing that Labour are finding it difficult to get a candidate in one of their safest seats in Scotland, in fact in the United Kingdom. I think we just look on with total bemusement.
The Commonwealth Games is great.
Labour do have a possible plan B. Margaret Curran, member of the Scottish Parliament for Baillieston. She might stand in Glasgow East and is regarded as a safe pair of hands.
Glasgow East is one of the most deprived constituencies in Britain, and it's a seat Labour have to win. Gordon Brown's credibility is on the line. After two bruising by-election defeats at Crewe and Henley, the last thing he needs here is a campaign in such disarray. Colin Blaine, BBC News, Glasgow East.
Well, joining me now on the line from Glasgow is Lorraine Davidson, a former Director of Communications for the Labour Party in Scotland. Thanks very much for joining us. George Ryan has cited family reasons for his pullout. Do you think there's more to this?
Well, I think this was undoubtedly going to be a very ugly by-election. Just hours before George Ryan pulled out, the Labour Party press office were receiving calls about comments that he'd made as long ago as 5 years ago about the Union flag and the national anthem, saying that these weren't inclusive symbols. So there was going to be a lot of mud slung in George Ryan's direction. He was aware of that, and I think that he discussed it with his family and decided that much as he would like to be an MP and go to Westminster, that he wasn't prepared to put up with the kind of scrutiny and mudslinging that was coming his way over the next 3 weeks if he had gone ahead.
Now, the Labour Party has to make a decision by Wednesday. They said they're going to do it on Monday. Is it going to be a bit of a scramble?
Well, I think Margaret Curran has now come to the fore. She'd be a very good by-election candidate for the Labour Party because she is an experienced politician. But that she also brings some problems to the contest as well, because I think one of the questions that's going to be asked is she going to stand down from the Scottish Parliament? Alex Salmond, of course, is still a member of Westminster and also the First Minister in the Scottish Parliament. He's taken a lot of criticism for that. And I think that the voters simply don't like politicians who go around collecting jobs. So one of the first questions to her is going to be, are you going to be giving up one of these £60,000 a year salaries, particularly in a constituency where most of the people are unemployed?
Now, the opposition parties have said that they find this, frankly, astonishing. By anyone's reckoning, this is not a great start to a by-election campaign. Can Labour come back from this?
I simply don't know. I mean, certainly the events of the last 48 hours have been like a very bad soap opera, and Labour's handling of this has looked somewhat chaotic. However, that said, I spent the day in the constituency on Friday. I didn't feel there was the kind of anger that you detected in places like Crewe or indeed in the local government elections in England back in May. It doesn't feel like a seat where people are out to give Labour a really good kicking. I think their majority will be slashed. There's no doubt about that. But that said, I think despite their best efforts to lose this, or look as if they're trying to lose it in the last couple of days, I think they could just still hang on.
OK. Lorraine Davidson, thanks very much indeed. And the Glasgow East by-election takes place on Thursday, July 24th, and this is the list of the candidates who have said they are going to stand. To Iraq now, and Northern Ireland's Deputy First Minister Martin